What is going on guys, MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Minipla Super Shock Gundam from Gundam Build Divers. Formed with a quintet of SDs of Chat Noir Neo, it symbolizes the revival of our favorite SD exclusive force, each with a piece of gum to celebrate the occasion. And since this will be a sextuple review, please utilize the timestamps for navigation. A big shout out to one of my viewers Yosin as well, since this video won't have been possible without their help. Starting off with the leader unit, the Shock Gundam. Made up of 5 runners and moderate sticker sheets, the build process is very easy, made even easier thanks to the thin gate and ball joint construction like typical SD kits. The final unit looks quite derpy in all honesty, but besides the orange being a little bit too light compared to the anime, it is accurate to the source material. Color separation is also relatively fine, as stickers are only used for the eyes, V-fin crests, yellow on the vents and crotch, white for the abs, and the red for the mask, which is one of the things that looks unnatural about this SD. Otherwise, besides bringing out the panel lining using a fine tip marker, I wouldn't mind displaying the kit as it is. Articulation is equally simplistic, as all the connections are on ball joints besides the swiveling wrists, though the ABS on ABS joints do make it finicky to move, and you would most likely dislodge the joints before you get to your ideal pose. Thankfully, the only weapons included are the sword and bubblegum shaped hammer. While the sword is missing its yellow hilt and the hammer looks more like an ice mold, they still are a fine and simplistic set of weapons. Next is the SG Gundam, made up of 4 runners and a sticker sheet. The build is just about the same as the Shock, with just one added mechanism for the combination gimmick. The final looks of the SG Gundam are basically what you would expect of it, a further squashed down version of the SD Granddaddy Gundam with a red rim around the eyes as if it's about to have a big cry. Stickers are also only used for the eyes, head sensor, yellow on the chest and waist, as well as the red on the abs and crotch. And while the kit looks fine from the front, it's kinda hard to ignore the giant fist it has as a backpack when looking at it from any other angle. Otherwise, besides its depressed looks, the SG Gundam looks great for a smaller than average SD. Articulation is just as simplistic and wonky as the Shock Gundam, and it doesn't necessarily help given that its primary weapon is the Hyper Bazooka, making it a little trickier to set up. It also has a lollipop beam javelin with its fair share of hollow bits, but I still think it's a cute weapon nonetheless. Its package also includes a visor that will be used later. Next on the list is the SG Char's Zaku, featuring the most unique but equally simplistic build out of the quintet, composed of 4 runners and a tiny sticker sheet. The completed kit looks like it's literally asking for a pacifier, as its squashed proportions and giant sticker for the monoline gives off the impression of an infant Char. Besides that, it represents the source material well, and the only other stickers are for the corners of the eye channels, making this an impressively part-separated kit. Unfortunately, the giant hand on the back ruins it for me, but I think its looks arguably top some of Bandai's most recent efforts. Articulation and handling are relatively identical except for the wide head base getting in the way, and the dropping visor being a bit dodgy, but that's besides the point, as its main weapon is the classic Zaku machine gun that is easy to work with. Its candy-themed weapon is a chocolate bar spike shield, which is officially a part of its loadout funnily enough. Following that, there's the SG Nu Gundam. Made up of 6 runners and a sticker sheet, the only change the extra runner brings is an increased part count instead of difficulty, so it's just as simple to build as the others. The extra parts are immediately evident in that the SG Nu is a double fin funnel type by default. Otherwise, besides its derpy yet confident looks, it is exactly what you would expect a Minipla Nu Gundam to look like. Stickers are used for the eyes and head sensors, forehead crest, white on the chest and abs, red for the cockpit and crotch, yellow for the toes, and the Amuro logo on the shoulder, which is quite a few, but they do their jobs well enough. Besides filling in the recesses with black, I'm satisfied with the SG Nu Gundam's looks. Articulation and handling is consistent with those from before, but the double fin funnel configuration might be a bit of a hindrance. On top of that, the new Hyper Bazooka with missing white details acts as its primary weapon, so it's even trickier to set up compared to the other weapons. It does come with a popsicle beam saber though, which looks more like a leaking glow stick than anything else. It also comes with a visor, but it will not see use in normal circumstances. Last but not least is the SG Sazabi, made up of 5 runners and a relatively small sticker sheet. Due to the Sazabi's unique shape, it feels more refreshing to build than the others, but otherwise it's just as simple in difficulty. The finished kit also looks most faithful to its real type counterpart, condensing the menace of the Sazabi into a cute, palm-sized package, though I will say that the red demands some harsh panel lining as the plain red and yellow body looks a little too dull. Stickers are also the worst out of the 5, as while those for the mono white and sensor are fine, the yellow ones on the abs and waist either look or function horribly due to the geometry they need to wrap around. As such, I would definitely recommend painting there. The SG Sazabi looks no better nor worse than the others, but it's the stickers that drag it down. Articulation is also the most unique for all the wrong reasons, as the helmet is heavily hindered by the backpack, and since the funnel racks can also move towards the head, it doesn't help its case at all, especially not when the kit itself is back heavy to begin with. Otherwise, it's just like the others. Thankfully, the weapons are simplistic, since its primary weapon is the beam shot rifle. Nothing fancy besides the hollow bits on one side. Its candy themed weapon is the candy wrapper funnels on the backpack, and while the Sazabi does have proper funnels in the anime, they're unfortunately not candy shaped. Still a unique weapon though. Each member of Chat Noir Neo are fine kits on their own, though if you haven't already known or figured out, they feature a secret combination gimmick. Without further ado, let's begin the process. Firstly, remove all of the backpacks, reverse the feet of the Shock and the legs of the others, and reposition their arms to the holes on their backs. From there, the Shock's V-fin and rear-mounted mask are also removed, the Gundam and Zaku's eyes are covered up, and the Nu and Sazabi's heads are removed. Next up, spin the beam sabers on the Gundam backpack, and reposition the core piece of the Zaku's backpack, before plugging them into each of their feet to form their hands. Meanwhile, remove both the Nu and Sazabi's funnels, and reposition the standard set of Nu funnels onto the sides of the backpack, before plugging them into the holes behind each of their legs. Finally, stack the large V-fins together, before plugging them into the Shock's forehead, plug the small V-fin into the chest, the Nu and Sazabi into the Shock's heels, reverse the Gundam's and Zaku's heads, before deploying their integrated ball joints, and plugging them into the original shoulder sockets, the remaining funnels into the Shock's shoulders, and the mask extension onto the face. With that, you'll have the completed Super Shock Gundam. And to be honest, while I kinda get that it might be a reference to the Kizuna Gundam built by Cozy, it's way more of a mess compared to it. Still, thanks to the accurate visuals of the separate units, the chunkiness and whimsy of the Super Shock Gundam are sufficiently brought to life, and it is certainly gonna draw some attention with how ridiculous it looks. From there, it would only be a matter of preference to determine whether you like or hate the look of the Super Shock Gundam, and while I'm personally not a fan of the outstretched fingers on the left hand, I would definitely recommend some panel lining to give it some extra visual definition. Articulation is actually surprising since besides the existing ball joints, the Gundam's and Zaku's torsos feature a joint to emulate an elbow bend, while their waists can serve as forearm rotation. Otherwise, you can expect the handling to be extra finicky due to the bulk and large antenna, with joints dislodging at a much higher rate. Though the ABS on ABS connection provides the Super Shock Gundam with extreme rigidity if nothing else. The only handheld weapon of the combined form depends on how you assemble the 5 primary weapons. Combining the 2 bazookas before plugging the machine gun and beam shot rifle into the assembly, and the sword into the tip will result in the Super Shock Gun Sword, also known as Choo-Choo's preferred form of ranged combat with a bayonet. Otherwise, plug the rifle and machine gun into the sword after removing the latter's foregrip, then reattach it into the bazookas combined along their magazines, before combining the 2 assemblies to form the Super Shock Gun Rifle, a firearm that has the combined power of 5 units that is immediately dissipated after hitting 2 real-type gunpla because plot armor. Finally, as a marketing gimmick, the large arms are compatible with high-grade kits that adopt the universal standard. Besides that, the Nu and Sazabi also have been given deployable ball joints and folds in the torso, allowing you to use the Nu's visor piece and give your gunpla giant arms with either the Nu or the Sazabi as the bases. Now I bought this and its sibling units for a dare, but after I played with it for a bit, even with the solid yet brittle joints of each of the units putting all 6 of these at discretionary, this is still a kit just for good fun. Individually, there's nothing too special about any of them, as their weapons are relatively basic and their combiner elements are more than obvious. Unless you want an extremely babified version of each of the listed units, I will not recommend purchasing them individually. On the other hand, the Super Shock Gundam, as clunky and problematic as it is, does have some interesting mechanics that give it more movement, and as much of a mess as it is in design, I just can't help but laugh at how ridiculous it is, especially knowing that the bar can be pushed even further. With that said though, it's undeniable that this kit isn't for everyone. So if you want an extreme SD set with the power of a Megazord, knowing full well the issues it comes with along the way, then be my guest. And that's all from me. Thank you for watching, drop a like and comment if you did enjoy the video, subscribe for more content like this, and feel free to follow me on social media with the links down below. That said, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out guys, bye bye.